Hated it.
Hello, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a quick fire round of the movies that come out because this time of year I've usually seen all the movies that Gold Derby has indicated will be Best Picture nominees. Last year, Maria and I saw so many movies; it was amazing. It was lots of fun. This year, of course, there's so much more access to these movies through streaming services. And I'm going to focus on Netflix's fleet. And let me tell you, Netflix, they had Mank, Ma Rainey, Hillbilly Elegy, the Chicago 7, the Prom. Were there any others? The Five Bloods, I believe, and Pieces of a Woman. I need to write that down because I didn't write that down. So let me just tell you right now, not impressed by any of them. And I know Netflix wants their Best Picture winner for their studio. It's just not going to happen for them. And let me get into the many reviews. Can we first talk about Midnight Sky by George Clooney, which was one of my most anticipated films. From the trailer, it looked like everything that I wanted in a film: sci-fi, heroics, great atmosphere. I was well, no pun intended, but I felt like it was going to be my Interstellar. It was going to be my Cloud Atlas. It was going to be my The Road. It was going to be all these things, and that's what this movie is. It's a composite of all those films I just listed, but the worst parts of each of those films. I did not like it. It does not have a great Rotten Tomatoes freshness, and I agree with that. So let me just say, it was such a bad letdown. The Hillary Swanks series Netflix did for the Mars mission, that was awful too. There was one more sci-fi thing they had that was out awful as well. I don't understand why they're lacking in that department, Netflix. Let's talk about Mank. Mank was for sure and is still the leading contender for Netflix. Normally around this time of year, I am all about a movie like Mank. I love the black and white movies that give you this emotional boop, like Roma, like, what was the other one I just had in my head? Black and white film that did so well. The Artist, of course. But anyhow, I found Mank to be so inaccessible. I really loved Amanda Seyfried's performance, but other than that, I was so bored, and I'm usually not bored by these kind of movies. David Fincher, I don't know. I just don't know. And we get this weird, like, it's really hard to keep up with the Mankiewicz group, the family as a whole, I feel. And I couldn't, I don't understand that one. Mank isn't. And there was this really weird dinner scene with all these A-list actors or really good A-list character actors. And it really was kind of scary. Like, I can't believe they got away with that. So, hated it. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So I was so anticipating this film. And I had heard a lot of different stories about it. I thought it was going to be okay. I thought it was going to be like the Queen Latifah movie Bessie, which was a fabulous film. Watching this made me go back to watch Bessie to see what a great movie Bessie was compared to this, and what this could have been if it would have just followed the paint by number Bessie. Like, if they would have painted by number the way that Bessie was laid out. I'm not saying that Bessie was painted by numbers, but they should have just followed the Bessie trajectory, I feel, because Ma Rainey is in the movie Bessie, and Bessie is a superior film. There's so much emotion, there's so much character depth with Queen Latifah's Bessie, but this is Ma Rainey. Obviously, this was, I guess, written for the stage, and there are tons of actors who all get their 30. It seems like they get their 30. I'd say 15 to 20 minute monologue. It was like that, and it was very much like you're watching a play. except you're watching a play in your living room. Having watched a play in my living room with Hamilton, this felt very much that. It wasn't really like you're not. This is not a biopic. This is a Chadwick Boseman. I felt it was kind of like his movie more than anyone else's. Everyone was kind of like the supporting actor. And remember, Viola Davis won a supporting actress Oscar for a leading role in that film with Denzel Washington. Fences was it? But she had a very, 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 very supporting role. I felt in this very limited. It's just a couple. I think the movie only covers like 5 hours in one day, and I did not like it. It was not my vibe. I wanted to love it so much because again, the trailers, the previews have her in all these beautiful costumes. Well, those are the only time you see her not in the costume she's in the old time is flashback scenes or forward flash scenes, and I just was really like after I watched it, I had to go watch Bessie just to make sure that I like these films, and Bessie was great. Why couldn't Bessie have been a Netflix film? Because I think Queen Latifah would have. I don't know. I think Viola Davis has a great chance of winning though, and I kind of hope she does because I'm still not over what happened with Widows. Widows getting shut out in all the it was shut out in all the acting categories. I was very that one hurt. So I'm not Ma Rainey. I wanted to love it. It was pretty bad. It was pretty. I was just not for it. Not with it. Hillbilly Elegy. Hillbilly Elegy. What can I say? I thought the actor when I was going into it was the guy from Star Trek, Chris Pine. Chris Pine looks almost exactly like him. This movie, where everyone was hyping this as, oh, it's showing what the real America is. It's showing what redneck America, country America. I'm from the country, and I have remembered my whole life seeing movies like this. I remember what was that movie? Susan Sarandon, The Client. Um, why is Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil coming in my head? There's just so many. Mudbound wasn't that? There's just so many movies that are like this that are so much better than this, and for this to be hyped up as some kind of like statement piece, Hillbilly Elegy was pretty bad. Like when I think of a movie that, if you're wanting a movie that's really good in this vein, watch Junebug because Amy Adams is in that. Amy Adams is in that as well, and Junebug is superior to this. And every like Junebug, I wouldn't even compare the two. Junebug is so higher on the threshold of beauty and what an independent film should be, and Hillbilly Elegy, maybe Glenn Close gets in. I don't know. It was awful, awful, awful. Hated it. Can you believe someone can dislike so many Netflix movies when that's like really all I. But here's another one, The Prom. I felt like the movie. I understand it came from. It's going to do well at the Golden Globes. Let's just say that. It's going to sweep the Golden Globes, probably. But this felt like, have you ever watched RuPaul's Drag Race and they have all that um, fabric on the wall that the queens can use if they need to? It felt like someone ransacked RuPaul's, grabbed everything that was colorful, wrapped it around people, wrapped it around walls, wrapped it around lamps, wrapped it around everything, and they tried to call it a movie. It was bad. It's terrible. I would never recommend The Prom from Netflix. And why is, I can understand that in this time in her life, Meryl Streep is all about doing the things she didn't do the first 20 years or 20 acting nominations, but why did they have to bring Nicole Kidman into this? she, I love Nicole Kidman, but Nicole Kidman could not save this film. Hated it. Pieces of a Woman. I'm going to end here. I might mention a couple documentaries. And Miss Americana, I think this is going to do well at the Oscars. I think. Is the Dolly documentary going to do? What about the Keith Haring documentary? Those might do well in some festivals if they haven't already. We're in a truncated, weird timeline for the award season, so we haven't. By January, we've usually watched a couple of award ceremonies, but I understand right now in California everything's being pushed back. But let's talk about Pieces of a Woman. Everyone at Gilderby is saying Vanessa Kirby is going to win this Oscar, and I have to tell you, if she wins the Oscar for this filming, if she wins the Oscar for this film, I will be pretty upset. I mean, I'm not going to like throw anything, but to me, and bear with me, Pieces of a Woman, I think it's the beginning of it. The first 30 minutes is a continuous take. There's no cut. And there's 3 different actors, 4, I guess, if you want. And there's a lot of technical stuff going on because she is in labor. She is having a home birth. That 30 minutes of film was the most intense 30 minutes of film I've seen in years. No cuts. Shia LaBeouf's in it. He doesn't mess it up. It's just amazing, amazing scene. Now, I almost wonder if the director got this take, like it was like the first one they did in chronological order, and he was like, oh my gosh, I have gold. I have something that that everyone's going to be talking about. Now I'm going to make a movie around this thing. Like, I don't think there was really a lot there. I think there was just, Shia LaBeouf. Okay, so after the 30 minutes, Shia LaBeouf takes over, and it's all improv. Like, nothing he says makes any sense. He goes into deep voice. I'm an older guy, to when he's talking about bands with a brother-in-law or something, to being normal Shia LaBeouf voice, which is he does not have that deep of a voice, but I mean he has a nice voice, but he's putting on a character. So he's in and out of his deep voice throughout the film. He's constantly saying some of the most ridiculous stuff. Vanessa Kirby seems to do everything opposite that I would do when I want to show a film with a woman in grief and mourning, but there's really not a lot of chance for her to do anything because they're trying to get all these other actors in to do stuff. Ellen Burstyn is phenomenal, but she couldn't save the movie herself. The first 30 minutes, this wonderful piece that will make you bawl your eyes out. I had to pause it because it was so devastating, that 30 minutes. But then after that 30 minutes, it's just like the movie goes down fast. And then there's like this weird, intimate moment between Shia and Vanessa Kirby's character that you would have seen like in a movie like Rabbit Hole, where Nicole Kidman and Aaron Eckhart. It was very much that vein. Like Aaron Eckhart, over time, is trying to get his wife back to their normal relationship, and it will never be normal again. And there are timestamps throughout Pieces of a Woman. The problem is the timestamps aren't far enough. Like if they would have put more space between, like maybe a year from when the incident happened, and then when you think the movie's finally over, and she's running in the snow, and everything's gonna be great. It's gonna end. That's not the ending. It is so bad. It is not a good movie. It is not. It's a great 30 minutes, technical masterpiece, acting masterpiece. Then Shia pretends that the whole movie's about him. Vanessa Kirby just falls to the back. Ellen Burstyn is trying to get Shia LaBeouf to just go to Seattle and leave them all alone, even though they live in Boston, I believe. It's quite a far, coast to coast. I really wanted to love this movie. But like I said, Miss Americana, I think, has a really good chance. The Taylor Swift. Was there another one? Oh, I couldn't even finish the Ariana Grande one. It was so pitiful. The Sam Mendes one was really good just because I knew nothing about Sam Mendes. And that was a great documentary. So Netflix is killing it in the documentary department, but it's, or the Follow people, the concert stuff. But with their Best Picture contenders this year, I've not seen anything yet. I haven't watched The Five Bloods. Every time I try to watch The Five Bloods, something horrible happens in my country that makes me not want to watch anything that would be bloody or something. I don't know. It's probably not even a bloody film, but like I just can't go there. There's just it's like if this movie's anything like what's happening, it's like right now if you were forced to watch the movie Contagion, you know what I mean? You wouldn't want to sit through that. Like we're living that. So a lot of these movies I thought were going to be great escapes, especially Mank, a black and white film about old Hollywood. I was everything I love, and it was just so bad. Ma Rainey's. I love Viola Davis. This was going to be her big you know, how everyone says she kind of plays the same character and everything. You know, like this was like her big transformative role, and it just wasn't enough. There wasn't enough stuff for her to do. You were giving way too much, and you could tell it was a play because they were giving each actor like 15 to 20 minutes to say their piece, and it's a great film, I guess, if you look at it that way, if that's what you're looking for. I'm so disappointed, Netflix. I really was hoping this was going to be a good year for you. And thank you, by the way, for putting these movies out to begin with. I didn't like them, but at least a great majority of these are going to be Best Picture nominated, and we get to see them. I haven't watched I need to watch The Five Bloods, and I'll do a separate thing on it. And then I'll have a better thing. But I think I talked about pretty much all the movies to prove. Okay, I'm going to prove something here. To prove that it wasn't just Netflix, when I watched Sound of Metal, which was on Amazon, their contender, I was blown away by it. I loved it. Every part of it. My friend did not like it. So I must be in a weird space. But Sound of Metal with Riz Ahmed, I thought was just brilliant. So obviously, it wasn't just this crazy 2020 year and the pandemic and you know all the other stuff. It really was that Netflix just has a lot of not so good movies, and Sound of Metal on Amazon, free streaming, great. Tenet, I got that from Redbox. Oh my gosh, talk about a movie I did not expect to like. There was nothing about this movie that appealed to me in any way. To stream it, it's like so expensive. But I saw it at Redbox. So I was like, okay, well, I'll put it in. And it's totally mind blown. I've never heard of time travel explained this way. I've never seen inversion, like thinking about inversion. I've been obsessed with this film. I've seen it like 4 times just to catch every little thing. And I am blown away. And if it's not an Oscar contender for a lot of people are like, well, their characters aren't likable and they don't do a lot. What's the thing they keep saying in that movie? Um, Ignorance is ammunition. So these characters aren't allowed to like really tell each other how they are, who they are. The less they know about each other, the better it will be. Because like the past is, the future is attacking the past basically. With weird theories on time stuff. This is not X-Men Days of Future Past or Back to the Future time travel. It's more like the interstellar way of time travel, which I think is directed by the same guy. I have no idea the Einstein version of what time travel actually is. But Tenet killed it. Sound of Metal killed it. Netflix didn't kill it yet. Maybe there's a few more movies that'll come out before May, which I think the Oscars are in May. But that's that. So I hope that this little video in the little elbow crack of YouTube helps you, and maybe you agree a lot with me. Like, what are you doing, Netflix? Why are you? I'm so excited about Nomadland and Promising Young Woman. So I have a lot to look forward to still. There's still a lot of movies that are in theaters but aren't in theaters unless you have like a Disney Plus account, which I won't go there again with those people because now I hear it's like you have to have like the third tier to be able to watch the movies in theaters. All right, everyone. Lots of love. Lots of love and light. Movies are a delight. I made a huge mistake. I forgot to talk about the trial of the Chicago 7, which is actually, when I said Mank is the one that they're pushing to be the main movie that could win Best Picture, the Chicago 7 is the one I meant to say that. I meant to do the trial of the Chicago 7 first. And I didn't do it, so I'm adding it here at the end, editing. Hated it. I was not into it. It was so claustrophobic. The courtroom scene is the main scene. There's not a lot of stuff going on outside of that. they could have made something really cool. I hear like 3 actors from it are expected to be nominated. I thought that Frank Langella was awful. I feel like this was not the right part for him. He was not cast right. If Donald Sutherland was in that role and delivered that performance, I would have been there for it. But Frank Langella runs the whole thing for me. And I'm going to be really quickly. Sacha Baron Cohen, there's just not enough stuff outside the courtroom. There's not enough footage of what happened. There's not enough brevity. It just is an awful film, and it's probably their biggest chance to win Best Picture. Okay, I'm done.